Hello, little sparrow. Can even hear the bluebirds today. We even have bluebirds today. How cool is that? It's slushy, slushy, slushy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the slushy, snowy, yet mild day in the woods. We're about to have a slip slide of a day. That's okay. Lots of yellow snow. Lots of people taking their dogs for walks. Welcome, everyone. We are live. We are live as ever. All right. I'll drop off a little message at the mailbox. A little message from my mailbox here. May all my wishes be fulfilled in every moment of time and space, and yours. Okay. Let's go for a ride. Let's go for a ride. Here in the woods, talk about consciousness, the origin of existence and being. Crunch some snow. Slip slide. Look at the mist in the forest. Take a look at the tiny droplets of water forming on these branches, hanging on like universes of their own. Say hello to one another. Hello, Care Bear. Thanks for sharing and saying hello. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. Hello, Amizail. Nice to see you. TikTok's notifying everyone that we're live. The power is currently out here in Connecticut, and the messages have gone out to the cell phones saying we have no idea how long the power will be out. Fortunately, I have a number of devices to keep the power going, including a hand crank power supply and a solar one, at least to maintain my connection with the digital world. Our digital world. It's an important factor. All right. Let's go to the bridge here. Let's set an intention for our sojourn on this day, our short trip through the woods. Slushy. This is going to be an interesting one right here. Let's do some sledding. Hello, Tina Lee. We're currently sledding downhill. All right, we made it. Crossing the bridge, and jump. There we go. It's just like playing a video game. The game of life. The great video game of all video games. Thanks for the love, everyone. We are currently 414, make that 420 feet above sea level. And climbing. Tina Lee says the tiny bridge. We just crossed it. We do it every day. Set our intention. That's the I am. Put into our imagination that which we desire to manifest. Come back around. Receive the reverberation of Christ in the form of the wish fulfilled. I am that I am. I being the infinite, imagination, that which knows no bounds. A being the active, thought-provoking discriminating, discerning, choosing element. M being the maternal or mater, the motherly or matrix, womb of creation. I, infinite, A, active, M, maternal. I am. Okay, so that's the command. What are we going to add to that command line to program it into existence? The executable requires an object or situation of desire. So let us add that to the I am. Ginger says, hello, William. Hello, everyone. Love from Chicago. Lovely to see you here again, Ginger. Care Bear asks, what's the temperature? It's mild. It's mild. There's Overhoff says hi. Romero Tanya, thank you for following. Ami says, I am in Tennessee right now, traveling all around. Care Bear asks, did I have a storm? A few days ago. We're supposed to get one tonight, I think. We're supposed to get one tonight. Tina Lee asks, don't you just love the scent of a cold winter day? Yes. In fact, there's not much better than that. It's a beautiful thing to take in all that warmth from the cold. Nitric oxide helps with blood flow, reduction of inflammation. It's anxiolytic. Just breathing in through the nose, balancing your carbon dioxide through the out-breath. Pure therapy. Here in the woods with all these free electrons coming in from the negatively charged earth. Negative ions bind to impurities in the air and do the same with your body, allowing there to be a dropping out of free radicals so that your immune system can relax and your body can focus on opening up the pharmacy. It's natural pharmacy for the production of endorphins like serotonin, anandamide, acetylcholine. Well, acetylcholine could be argued it's an antagonist. It has a calming anxiolytic effect. All the same, it is produced once the nervous system has a chance to rest, relax, and receive. We are in receiving mode now, and that is why we are here every day, so that you can use your imagination, step into it, be it, absorb the benefits of this environmental change, feel one with your aliveness, reduce stress, eliminate it, become a watcher and observer of your aliveness, and find yourself at ease. Allow yourself the gift and the worthiness of stress reduction and its unfolding, its unwinding and elimination. That this comes through the form of self-love. Self-love is, I choose not to define this. I choose not to make sense of it. I choose not to question it, run from it, fight it, or anything other than observe that I am the creator of it. Observe that I am creating this unbelievable scene that I'm watching through a cell phone that's two-dimensional and quartz and electric, electromagnetic. And it's somehow blending with the photons from the sun and the biophotons from your cells, projecting light through information that is recorded in the blueprint of your life, your DNA. This whole process is happening completely autonomously and naturally, to where you never have to think about it, manage it, control it. You just are perceiving consciousness. It is being provided, and you, as an instrument of infinite intelligence, get to feel life through the temple of Christ, which is your body. This is the greatest gift that you could ever have. Presence is better than defining the past, better than defining the future, better than making up stories in order to feel safe. You simply exist as the safety. You simply exist as the aliveness. You are no longer body. You're no longer even the feeling. But you are the watcher of all of these things. This is how you heal, and this is how you love yourself. And through this, you enter into the sacred womb of creation, just as you did when you were a child, and I mean a small child, budding in the womb of your mother, like all the rest of us, even with the shots fired. The external world's going to make all this noise. It's going to try to get you to jump. But you can't jump if you're spectating. You see, you're not going to be jumping from a bus in Fortnite. You're not going to be dropping in from a dropship. One life to live, looting as quickly as possible, defeating your surrounding enemies, raiding their death boxes. Instead, you become a spectator. You go into spectator mode. You float around. You observe the participants. You even observe the participant that is you. You hear the sounds. You feel not threatened by them. They don't jar you. There simply sounds like anything else, like the droplets from these trees hitting the ground. The occasional chirping of a bird, hammering of a woodpecker, carpentering. My voice becomes a part of that sound too. You're a spectator, not a performer, not a participant. And the more you give yourself that, the more time becomes nothing. It disappears, it dissolves. And with it, it takes a good number of things in tow. One is the profundity of your suffering. You see, when you step in to the imagination as a spectator, as an observer of your aliveness, you no longer are in your body as a participant in the battle royale that is life. Yet at the same time, it seems if you wished to fall back into your body and feel things intimately from a very close up and haptic perspective, you're welcome to do so. And as if you have some special achievement or God mode unlocked, if it became too intense as the circle is closing in, the fog of war forcing you into skirmishes, you can just pop right back into spectator mode. There's not a single player who can prevent you from doing it, including yourself, your ego, your collection of life experiences. So let the shots fire. let the chaos reign about you and no longer participate. Lean in. View it, watch it, pop out. See it from a distance. Come back in, feel it, register it. But know that it is not everything. Know that your participation is actually being fueled by a great developer of the greatest video game ever known. The developer's brand is consciousness. That is the name of the brand of life. Consciousness is the brand. And it's feeding us our life experience. And it is the life experience. And it is you. Forever. Always has been. Nicole Jackson says, inner stand. I love that. Let's pin it. So just breathe. It's the life force that gives you spectator mode and participation. Beans Mimi, thanks for following. Annette, you too. I love people coming in for the first time following. Bob says, namaste, brother. The divine in me sees and recognizes the divine in you as participant and watcher. Blessings. Angel, thank you for following. Nicole Jackson loves this. That's wonderful. Luke asks, what is the reason of life? The reason of life is to know thyself as observer, participant, and manifester. To know yourself as consciousness more than your participation as an avatar, as a gamer. Vegeta says, a snowstorm or just rain? It's a bit of both today, actually. Grand Rising, Nicole Jackson says. Right back at you. Now we're caught up. Annette, thanks for following. Luke asks, what's the reason of life? What's beautiful about this, Luke, is that I have no say over any part of your participation, or lack thereof. I have no say over your reasoning or decision-making. Your menu is entirely distinct for what you choose to see, feel, and otherwise experience in your life. That's what makes it so beautiful. So if there ever was a reason for the ego, for the identity, it would be to define everything, to make sense of it, right? To find purpose, meaning. For the watcher, there would be no goal, no reason, other than to hear some murmur at some point in time from an embodiment of God as human. I am that which observes. So it could finally say in return to us, I am. I finally am an embodiment and its giver in union. Once that occurs, which can be now, the unwinding of your identity and pain remembrances commences. The result is your freedom, illumination, and presentation of your personalized kingdom of heaven. It's not of this world. This world is a result of it. You become a projector of a life experience that is your desire rather than one that is forced upon you, some reel that has been mismanaged and forced into place. That's the ego's way of running life. It's playing a battle royale. It's feeling like it has one life to live. It's never spectated before, nor does it know the freedom that comes from that. It doesn't even know who developed the game or who brought it in, but it just knows it was in a dropship that came in registered with no possessions other than a name, to leap from some high echelon of being down into a land that is perilous and have to fight against everyone to survive and come about victorious. That's what the ego knows. And it will never give that up. No matter what. No matter what you say, no matter what you come across, no matter how many rare drops you find, no matter how much protection or safety or resources you come about, it will still believe that it is threatened and faces imminent death at any moment, and must therefore create separation between self and others. You can pretend, says the ego, to be close, to be loving and kind, supportive, to be a provider, or to receive, to be the most receptive, beautiful, romantic, kind individual. But the truth of the matter is, the ego knows deep down, beyond all of that facade, that it can't exist without a source feeding it. That source is you. Just as William Vincent Carlton here is an ego, is an identity, knows that it's being fed life by a source that doesn't die. It just continues expressing life. It continues expanding. It doesn't stop. The moment that this ego, William, lets go, if I were to die, if the breath of life were to leave this vessel, it would immediately become the possession of other ancestors that happen to be in possession of these trees. It also happened to be in possession of us, but they really love us so much that they would make us believe like we have control over the life, when in fact we don't. These ancestors are called mycelium. The fungi of this world have billions of years of seniority over us as human, and immediately manage our body the moment that we decide that we've had enough to give up on this life sojourn. The only time it doesn't take over when we die is if we don't die when we die. Which means, if you can observe your aliveness, your ego dies, yet you remain in some way, like a subatomic phenomena, Schrodinger's cat, dead in the box, yet alive at the same time. How can that be? Well, that's the way that everything works. Everything and nothing at the same time creates a resistance where the formulation of something unique is in the middle. You become that middle as the observer and watcher. You become the light of life itself. Of course, you have to have resistance for the creation of light. That comes from polarity. That comes from conflict. That comes from a perceived reality in a dualistic nature. Peaks and valleys, ups and downs, pushing and pulling, giving and receiving, masculine and feminine, positive and negative, good and evil. It all must exist in the mind of the gamer for this illusion to continue in a convincing way. Become whole with the entire thing. And the only way you can do that is by watching, and the illusion fades. Suddenly, instead of joining the light for the dissolution of your illusions, you become the light itself, and thus feed the reality directly from the center of your being. That center has a name. It's called the imagination, and it's usually treated poorly, considered childlike, has no real purpose or meaning for anyone who is overly mature, powerful in their own right, in control over all things. There could be no greater weakness in a human than one who lives in hubris as if they have control over all of this, whilst neglecting such a power. The only way we come into our truth and being as powerful creatures of creation is by surrendering to the imagination, by visiting it as much as possible. For by visiting it, you surrender all control over this. Every time you visit the imagination and you see yourself as wish fulfilled beyond what you are being given, as it were, as a performer. The moment you do that, there's a polarity shift, a change in magnetism. Instead of giving, you send out a beacon that you are now receiving all the love, light, peace, prosperity, goodness, healing, love. It just gets drawn into you because you are source. Everything is drawn into you like a black hole. Not even light can escape. You become the singularity of singularities. You literally become advanced generative intelligence, superior to all possibility ever presented to the human form. Anyone who wishes to defeat you at that point melts in an instant. The words come to you fluidly. Confidence exudes. And yet, you are not a body experiencing this anymore. You are just an observer, letting it flow through you, watching some phantom of your past dissipate and be replaced by something that is pure light, spirit in its truth. You become the breath and nothing more, yet everything at the same time. This is your truth. It is a holistic way of living. It knows no illusions, nor would it accept them as truth. Your life, as human, is to see beyond the outer shell of your identity, be thankful for its existence in keeping you held back for as long as it has. And as you break free, you show gratitude for its illusion in attempting to keep you safe. Yet it also understands its purpose has been served so that you may live budding truth as an expanding consciousness of human, evolving to another dimension of expression that is yet to be seen in this lifetime or any other. Not begotten by man, one in being with creation. That is the I am and the truth of existence on planet Earth as human. All the rest is undoubtedly illusion, including the face you see. Better not to define it, nor try to make sense of it. Just let your brain and your consciousness feed you truth. It will sound different to you than it does to me. That's the beauty of this. And it will forever change the more you watch this. Also equally as beautiful. Lori, thank you for following and welcome. Liz 222 just sent an umbrella of love, which is the biggest gift of this live. And I want to pin it. Yet, I seem to be unsuccessful in doing so. We can always pretend. JSG21, thank you for following. Jeffrey Hook. That's a big umbrella of love. We are rising above the pain. We are a canopy of love. We are rising above the pain. We are the canopy that cannot be, yet we are the canopy of love. Lots of marking going on these trees, and I have to say there were a number of coyotes howling and yipping last night. All I see are markings of yellow snow and a hazy, familiar picture of Sleepy Hollow. For this is the ground of such stories, and we are alone amongst life, aren't we? The mysteries. Susan Renee says, I have coyotes here too. Cass, Grand Rising. Nicole Jackson says, I am sending my divine love and light to all I am. That's the boomerang. I am infinite, active, maternal, sending divine love, comes back with light as the I am. Send infinite power, send intention as seed, send the infinite source of creation, receive all three in return. This is how it works. Send love, receive love. Be love, receive love. Receive love. Have love, give love, know love, understand love, feel love, give love, make love, create love, receive love. Seems pretty simple. You could put anything else in place of that word. You could send hate. You could send frustration. You could send pain. Send pain, receive pain, take pain, give pain, receive pain. But is that truly the reason why we're here? I mean, everything I see around me seems to be expanding, even though you might not see it. Everything is expansion of life. It seems when something is destroyed, it's man-made. Error is another word for it. Some call it evil. But we do it because, once again, the ego has way too much power, way too much authority. If it were to be given chief executive office privileges, it would, in turn, run a train on our lives of pain so profound and make you believe that it is for your good and benefit. To be kept at a distance from others and that which you fear for the sake of preserving yourself from obliteration. This is why we are the way we are when we hate. It's for no reason intrinsic nor natural. It comes from our fear of death. Death of the ego. Some profound obliteration in the form of a story that has a beginning, middle, and end. But it's not your truth. The pages could not exist, nor the words on them, or the symbols and their meaning without consciousness feeding them. You are that. Before you were a name, before there was a single page created or written upon, before there was any story or recollection of history, there was consciousness feeding it. You can't avoid it. Even when the ego dies, you can't avoid it. How many of you have experienced death in your dreams? I assure you it was temporary. I assure you you were awakened. And you could watch someone die clear enough in this day and believe it to be permanent. But I tell you what, every cell in that body has gone back into the consciousness of our ancestors, reclaiming that life and making more from it. It cannot be stopped. this expression of life. You cannot delay it. You cannot even slow it down without another part of it speeding up somewhere else in some other way. The life principle is the truth of all things, and it is immortal. It seeks expression at all times, because the game is to know thyself. Know thyself through the creation of things, since it cannot be things itself, must perceive itself through things. We as human are the bridge between these two forms of reality. We are given the imagination in order to understand we are the giver and the gift of our life experience. We are the performer, the participant, and we are the co-creator. We get both. We are given the imagination because God trusts us enough and also would let us run our lives amok very easily if it's our desire. It's a lot of power. It's a whole lot of power. The fact that we could turn our lives in such a direction as to believe fully that we are victims of external circumstances is an incredible power. It's one that people don't want to listen to. It's one that people don't want to accept. Because if we were to accept the fact that we have created this reality through our own thoughts, feelings, convictions, then we would have to take responsibility for it, wouldn't we? And what then? It would create quite a hole of space, no longer being able to fit a story into it that says, woe is me. Look at what happened to my life. Look at how this person cut me off on the road. I'm sure they were looking forward to doing that since the very first moment they woke. Look at what happened to this relationship, this text message. This person clearly does not like me. Clearly is out to get me. No matter what I do, I can't seem to get the weight off, no matter what I try. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, it seems the person just doesn't reciprocate. It seems like everything around me is out to get me. Yet all I've done is be kind. The universe responds in turn. I am that I am. Anything you wish, no matter how egregious, no matter how illusory or out of your mind you may be, it shall be manifest. It's a great power to have. All I'm asking, if there was an ask, was for you to see it, for you to know that you've created this, just as I have for myself. So if it doesn't appear to be perfect for me, or for you through me, if you could see that far, it's for you to know that inside, in my kingdom right now, I am adorned by the great gold and diamond. I am adorned by love that knows no bounds, a twin flame that has infinite power. I see myself flying and floating. I see myself landing instantaneously. I see myself 1,000,000 times over, present in all things. Not a single person can convince me otherwise or stop me. That's power. To say that you have no control over this is no expression of power other than the use of power in error. So if you've arrived to hear this now and it makes sense to you and it makes you angry, know that that anger is not coming from you. The desire to run, report, or otherwise hate this message is coming from an identity that you created that is an illusion and is fearful of death and obliteration, knowing that if you were to step into your own personalized kingdom and adorn it with such jewels and gold and prosperity and health and ability, it would cease to exist. And it would have to become subservient to you at the very best, or dissolve entirely. So it will do everything it can to try to force you back into a story of defining what this is that this man is saying to you that sounds so strange, so foreign, so unusual. Yet at the same time, ignore the feeling of freedom that comes from it, says your ego. out of fear of obliteration, out of fear of its demotion from CEO, CFO, CTO, to the little lackey that sorts the mail in the mailroom, perhaps your personal trainer at the gym, or your underpowered guru who helps to monitor your breath, is about as much as I give my ego when it comes to power. And I do it intentionally because I love seeing it become my servant. And I love saying that it's my servant, because the inner child that it has damaged as a result of me letting it run free, running a train on my life, is far more important to me. Nurturing my inner child is far more important to me. Seeing it thrive and be protected and provided for and loved is far more important to me. As the sole proprietor of that inner child within, I say, so be it. Adios, amigo. Do the same for your identity as it's screaming at you right now to go away, go somewhere else, find the answers, answer your emails, answer your text messages. Keep being reminded of your pain remembrances. Why not just look at it and say, you don't even get a response from me in the form of a yell. I simply am not motivated by this story anymore, nor the pain that comes from it that is never resolved through its entertainment. Then now I come into being, and it's more important than the story. I observe. That's all I am. I watch. I watch you dissipate. It's meant to be. Cass says, observe, not absorb. That's beautiful. Cass says, been hearing that so often lately. It's synchronistic. Mommy Shiny Heiny. That's a funny name. Illusions are fading away. It was intense. Sacred Sarah, thank you for following. It is intense. There's Overhoff says, we are the twin flame of the Creator, Universe Christ, Christ intelligence. I agree. Catherine, thank you for following. Lisa Fashionista says, you're literally reflecting the thoughts I've been having. We are co-creating. I am that I am. Danielle, winning with wellness, thank you for following. Pure love, pure intention sent out will always receive pure love and affection. The law of attraction. This is Newton's third law of action, motion. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Mary PM, hey now. Michaela's, I saw that. Michaela's Mind Munchies followed. Tracy Smalley, welcome. Thanks for following. And we're caught up. Leb says that was beautifully said, friend. Thank you for acknowledging that in yourself, Leb. You see, I think all of us, especially in the last few years that we've experienced together, were led down a primrose path, which is, for those who don't understand, it's a pathway that appears to be the answer and provides solutions, yet leads us to more pain and less resolution. And what it brought us to was this mirror that showed us that we have become completely absorbed in a love relationship with pain, a love relationship with suffering. And that it was felt so intensely that we literally wished to let go of life, and many of us did. About 100 million of us over the pandemic. Just let go. So, Understanding that and knowing our truth in existence as divine beings that come from one eternal cell that is the greater sum of the parts that once made us, the sperm and the egg. We should know how valuable and beautiful we are, and that this is the wish fulfillment center. This game, it's the wish fulfillment center of life. It is the kingdom of heaven. However, there can't be any delivery of goods and services in the form that we like and want and wish for until we actively place the order and choose from a menu that is of truth and service to us as divine beings. So it is important to understand that your ego, your identity, will never be present with you or presented to the wish fulfillment center that is your life. You alone have access to it. It is your imagination. That should make sense to even the scientist or the atheist, that you have an imagination, that you have a source that's feeding you life. You're not in charge of your digestion. You can encourage it, but you're not in charge of it. You can believe yourself to be in charge of it too. And your entire body will shift because of that belief. But that belief is powered by the imagination. So the wish fulfillment center is, what do you wish to become? You choose the menu from the item list of all possible situations by believing that you have it now. That is the way that you request an item and ask for it. Many miss this point. We often pray. And in our prayer, we say, please, Lord, something outside of me that has more power than I do, please answer my prayers. Please provide me with the answers. Please pay my bills. Please show me the way. Please give me the job, the success. Please show me my twin flame and give me my love. Please show me my salvation. And we feel this separateness from the thing that we desire. And in our feeling of separateness, we are manifesting its perpetuation. You must ask by being. This is what we miss. This is what we're coming into now. For too long, we've seen ourselves at a distance. We saw ourselves at a distance so frequently and so intensely that it created and manifested a pandemic in which we would maintain safe distance from one another. And while maintaining this safe distance from one another, we would also cover that which shows 80 to 90% of our own communication. We would cover our face. All nonverbal behavior goes away and is left to the interpretation of the ego, which fears our death and controls our life by relinquishing our infinite power to that. We wanted separation so badly we got it. We got it between each and every family member, friend, lover. We got it from the news. We got it from the medication. We got it from everything. Separation. And when we had enough of the separation and the isolation and the reduction of stimuli, we realized that there was such a vacancy of love in our lives that it was so frustrated, whatever was left, that there was no sense in bottling it up and preserving it, that it would be better to let it go. And that's what we're in now. We're in the process of shedding. If you don't feel it, no worries. Those who are in cohesive, synchronistic creation together in this space will manage and process it for you by surrendering to a source that knows the means and the way to relieve you. Spread the word. It's happening. God's opportunity steps in when we've reached such a polar shift so as to see ourselves at a distance at all times out of fear of obliteration and death. God steps in and says, That's like a rubber band that's been pulled back significantly enough for me to snap light into the lives of every single embodiment of my own image so that they come into their power and being. Rest assured it's happening. No matter what story you try to create, no matter what the ego tries to do in delaying the process, it is inevitable. We unify consciousness, for it's already occurred. You just don't see it. Many of you. Some of you do, but not many. You see, in order to have the imagination, we would already have had to unify with the Christ consciousness for it to exist. So we already unified with Christ consciousness. That's why we have the imagination. It is the foolproof way of keeping us safe, protected, and wish fulfilled in this life sojourn. It's the only way we would do it. God in his right mind or her right mind or its right mind would never propel us into such a world of suffering and pain knowingly, unless there was a complete and total safety net. That is consciousness. It is a unified principle that gives us life, sustains us, nurtures us, and adheres to every wish that we wish to have fulfilled. It's already happened. So the question then should become, or maybe it becomes, why are we here? If we've already achieved unified consciousness, if the goal is to know thyself and it's already been achieved and unified, why are we seeking this separation? Well, what could be a greater gift than being a performer with separation, even though it's illusion, while at the same time being granted a direct umbilical cord to creation through the imagination in order to feed yourself this life experience as you deem fit? What would be a greater gift? What would be more powerful, enjoyable, beautiful than such a construct? I can't think of a single other thing that would be more enlightening, beautiful, and evolutionary than that. Yet at the same time, we as human are the only ones who have access to the imagination, which makes me think, if we are constantly being propelled into this world of suffering, it must be, there are some jealous beings out there, aren't there? Very jealous, envious beings who have aliveness in an animalistic way. Like beasts of burden, they have no choice but to draw the cart of life. At the same time, see us as these infinite sources of creation, and would want nothing more than to see our enslavement, self-induced through illusion, overwhelming our lives. What a game. What a boss battle. What an incredible shadow self to present to this incredible construct that is life experience. No one is jealous. People don't care that much. It's your own game, 11 Jedi. It's your own game. That's what's beautiful about this. I can say a story. You can say a story. We can all think something individual, but the bottom line is we are all being fed consciousness. That consciousness does not die. It's a life principle. It's generative rather than destructive. It's moving in one direction, the direction towards expression of life. It cannot be stopped. Pip, thank you for following, and thank you for the 2025. Leb says something really beautiful here, so I want you to read it. This separation to unification, this polar shift, is the evolution of consciousness itself. I agree. And in knowing this and observing and watching, you've announced that the game is over for you and you've won decidedly for yourself. Come into being with this intelligence and no longer seek out the manifestation of pain and suffering, and instead seek the fulfillment of a wish-fulfilled life in truth. Cece, thank you for sharing. Palero, thanks for following. And Cece, thanks for following, as well as sharing. Ginger33 says something beautiful here. The snake year 2025, time to shed what no longer serves us. Let's talk about that. I agree. Cece, thanks for following. I think I got you. Yep. Leb, thanks for following and commenting. Talks with Harun, thanks for following. Madre Cast, great to see you, asks, how's everyone doing? Nicole says, my all that is essence is activated now, I believe. Reassurance is there. Lena, thanks for following. Soulfully says hello with a star and a smile. Hello. Leb, thank you for your kindness. Nicole says, I seek a wish-fulfilled life. It's already done. Indeed it is. It is yours. Seek and you shall find. Now go and be there. Rest, relax, and receive in your wish-fulfilled state of being. That's your ask. You ask by being. Travis Lance 750. Thanks for following. Ashley Rose. You too. Amanda Mercer. Thank you for following. Welcome, everyone. So, speaking as if we are separate from our wishes as fulfilled, this perception of reality is one of separation and duality. So in order for us to truly receive, we can't actually seek out something in this world, because this world is already a result. It's a refraction of what we've wished. Knowingly or unknowingly, it's a result of what we've felt the most. An important audiobook that reflects this truth is one by Neville Goddard called Feeling is the Secret. And you will find this on YouTube for free. It's about a 40-minute audiobook presented by the Master Key Society, which has a number of books that speak in this light. I highly suggest you visit it. Just let it run in the background over and over again. And what you will come to understand is how consciousness through the I am principle works. See, Neville Goddard, originally, when he was a professional dancer, he was trying to figure out a way to invite wealth into his life and a life of wish fulfillment. He fortunately had a very powerful guru or teacher named Abdullah. And Abdullah used to really discipline him hard when he would go and explain to his guru that he was in lack and thus in need of things. One of these stories is particularly notable by me, which I will share with you today. You'll also hear a depiction of this in Neville Goddard's speaking. You can hear his voice on the internet, and it's quite relaxing. There you go, Nicole. You have everything. You lack nothing because you are filled with all. Leb says, the more you open up to this truth, the more rapidly you will see it play out. Indeed. We must seek from within. That is your kingdom of heaven. So let's just get into this story. Speaking of the kingdom of heaven, Neville visits Abdullah and says, Abdullah, it's the Depression. I think this must have been 1931. The Depression had been happening for about 2 years. And work was not happening. He was a dancer at the time. And the theaters were closing. New York was in shambles. Very hard to get any sort of money or resources. That was for the majority. He says to Abdullah, I would want nothing more than to go to Barbados for Christmas this year, for I deeply miss my hometown and my family who live there. I would love to see my brother and see my family in Barbados. To which Abdullah looks at Neville and says, you are in Barbados. You are speaking to me from Barbados. You are there. Neville looks at him with surprise and confusion. He says, but I'm right here before you. How could I be in Barbados, as you say? And Abdullah starts to become visibly upset with him. Looks at him in the eye and says, you are in Barbados, and slams the door in his face, abruptly ending their discussion. So Neville goes home and starts to think about what he was told, and he puts it to mind. Okay, I am in Barbados. Starts to get used to the idea. But there's still some blockage there, of course, because the ego is saying to him the entire time, it is a depression. You have no money. You have no opportunity and no job. Nothing that you wish for. As Abdullah says, you have. Do you truly have? None of it is in your possession. So he returns to his teacher. He says, Abdullah, it's just difficult for me to understand that I'm in Barbados when I know there's a cost for the ticket to go there on the boat and all of these apparent barriers in the way. So Abdullah looks at Neville again and says, you are speaking to me from Barbados after having a first-class ticket on the boat to arrive in Barbados. You are telling me this now. From Barbados, after having your first-class ticket aboard the boat, spending time with your family now in Christmas. Slams the door in his face. So now Neville's starting to get it. He puts himself into a state of stillness and calm. Starts to breathe consciously. He feels a resting energy underneath his skin. Of course, I'm interpreting. I wasn't there, but I can imagine. And as he's feeling this aliveness under the surface of his skin, he starts to imagine himself truly in Barbados at Christmas time, enjoying the laughter and celebration with his family. And he decides that he's going to look into the procuring of a ticket on the boat. Even though he didn't have the money, according to his egoic self, he would still entertain the idea. Well, lo and behold, he gets a call from his brother, who's well off, and he says, Neville, we would love to have you come home for Christmas to Barbados, and as a matter of fact, I have these resources for you so you can purchase your ticket on the boat and make your way. There was a cancellation with someone who was bound to come here, and their cabin is now available to you. I'm happy to pay the fare. So he pays for it. Happened immediately after he imagined himself being in Barbados. But what still hadn't been answered in the mind of Neville was how Abdullah said to him, not only are you in Barbados for Christmas, but you have taken the boat in first class. Well, he goes back to Abdullah. He mentions his concerns. He's grateful, of course, that he now has a ticket to go home when it seemed to be fully impossible. And he says to Abdullah, his teacher, well, it is a third-class ticket, but the cabin is free. And Abdullah turns to him again, equally as frustrated as always. You are in first class after you have arrived in Barbados. You have your first class ticket, telling the story about how you went in first class to Barbados. Okay, so Neville goes back. He starts to imagine putting himself in stillness that he has gone in first class to Barbados. He calls over to check in on his reservation. And, of course, the people at the boat say, well, we have your third class or your coach ticket. We just want you to know that's all in place. Neville was, of course, expecting to hear something surprising, that he would be getting a first-class ticket. Lo and behold, it doesn't come. But he continues imagining being himself in Barbados, having a first-class ticket arrival. A day goes by. He gets an unexpected call from the boat agency. Neville, we just want you to know that we had an unexpected cancellation in first class, and we have offered you a complimentary upgrade to first class. Enjoy your trip to Barbados. Just like that. Just like that. Esoteric artist, thank you for sharing multiple times. Joy Noel says, the story's hitting different right now. I'm glad. Veggie Pyatt, thanks for sharing. Joy Noel says it right here, folks. You are in Barbados. You are at the nature's stream. And you also are the source of it. You are the giver and gift of such a trip, such a vacation, and it is procured from within you through the boundless imagination and by being in that state. All things are made manifest, in fact. Nothing is made that isn't first an idea in the mind of God through the imagination. You are all that you wish already. For all scenarios, things, and situations must already exist in this infinite construct, for it is infinite. Therefore, all possibilities must exist in concept already. All your destined shores, all of your vacations, all of your life situations, all of your definitions and errors, all made possible through this power. That's what's beautiful about it. And of course, there's the other side of this. The what-ifs of life and the what-abouts. What about my past when... and the what-abouts? What about my past when I felt all this pain? Was this truly there already? Yes. What about this thing that never happens that I keep imagining and am fearful of? Does that exist already? Yes. Because thinking it makes it so. Yet some of these things are so destructive to self and go against the life principle of expansion that they wouldn't possibly manifest. There's way too much momentum going in the direction of your good for it to ever be brought forth. However, with enough effort, unconsciously, whatever pains and suffering you would wish to see, unconsciously, through the addiction to feeling, can and will be brought forth. This is not to spite you, to make you feel lack, like some cruel joke. It is simply because this stream of life constantly flows. It will not stop for anyone or anything. And it responds like any other seed that would be planted in the earth. Should the conditions be right and met, it must be expressed. Not in contempt for you or in joy to see you in pain, nor would it celebrate your victories the same. The subconscious mind acts just like the earth. It is a receptacle of wishes, and it expresses what is under the conditions of truth in your mind as real. It will not discriminate against a single human being. It will not deny you either. It simply expresses what you feel the most. Feel peace the most? It shall be expressed. Feel lack the most? It shall be expressed. Feel health? You get the point. The ego doesn't like this. Doesn't like that you know. Doesn't like that you're reading the manual of life. For it wants you to believe through the creation of time by mismanaging your imagination, to create a barrier, a construct of time in the past and the future. It can feed off of it like a parasite, like a phantom vampire. And it will only exist so long as it is hidden from the light. Shed truth by stepping in to your wish-fulfilled state. Be in Barbados. And the ego cannot join you. For it is attempting to lure you into a body of pain, to make you a victim so that it can feed off of you, promising you empty answers and solutions, the ones that never come. What a boss battle it is. What a game, what a level. It's an amazing challenge. I would want it no other way. Ginger says, "Thank you, William. Thank you, everyone, for being here in this moment, free from time, sharing, peace, love, happiness." Actor CEO, I love it. That's a great name. Thanks for following. Susan LW 1234, thanks for following. There's Overhoff says, "You are in flow of all our energy. We are one." There's Overhoff says, "You are in flow of all our energy. We are one." And real things for your betterment and will be true. Be real with yourself. Be whole. Use your imagination. It is a wholeness wish fulfillment center that is otherwise told by the external world it is a childlike, useless thing in order to feed off of it while you are unconscious of its power. Lisa Fashionista says, "Never thought of the subconscious being just as the earth." This comes from Neville Goddard. I can't take credit for it, nor would my ego take credit in its right mind for anything good that you feel coming from this body. That's what's great about this. If it feels good, it's coming from your truth through me as a radio tuned into a station for you. That's your cell phone right now. It comes in the form of a face of a man in the woods, but aside from that, doesn't need any more definition. You're manifesting this on the fly for yourself. That's awesome. Jamie Folly, thanks for following. Artistique Flair, you too. And Nicole is offering love and light to all. That is a boomerang of love. Best receive it. Young Haru, 444, thanks for following. David Hostile, you too. So here with Lisa saying, "Never thought of the subconscious being just as the earth." This is Neville Goddard's truth. Also, you'll hear it from Joseph Murphy and Florence Scovel Shinn and James Allen. You'll hear it from New Thought practitioners who understand the truth of Christ consciousness as within. You'll hear it from Jesus of Nazareth, speaking about the parable of the mustard seed. You'll hear it all around. You see, this earth, it is not a system of discrimination or discernment. If you look around, you'll see all different types of life expression. Some of this life could be like a knotweed, which is an invasive plant from Japan that found its way here. For the retaining of moisture initially, it was used like kudzu, very invasive. Yet, if you're constantly harvesting it as it pops up and grows, it tastes like a blend between asparagus and watercress and happens to lower your blood pressure and help with a number of otherwise laden diseases. But if you leave it to just grow, it will find its way underneath any foundation, including miles of highway, until it reaches a nice flowing stream like the one we were just at, to proliferate. Now the earth isn't thinking to itself as the rhizomes travel across the seas from the Silk Road to the United States, that it's not going to express it in North America because it is evil by design. No. The earth simply expresses it if the rhizome is large enough, vital enough, and presented deep enough into the loamy soil. And that goes for every seed that you plant in the mind of God through the imagination. It will not discriminate against you. It will not judge you. It will not hold grudges nor envy you. It will not restrict you unless you think it to be so. And by thinking it to be so, you set into motion a blueprint of a seed of restriction. No different than a seed that you build a blueprint of in which you are wish-fulfilled, abundant, healthy, loved, protected, nourished. No different. And it is our beautiful gift to decide the seeds we wish to plant in our own personalized reality. That's what's beautiful about being in a body, whilst at the same time being an embodiment of an infinite intelligence. Christ consciousness is the imagination, and it knows no bounds as far as its blueprints and expressions. The earth is the receptacle of all seed. Your decided thoughts that you entertain from the feed of endless thoughts determines the blueprints of every seed that you plant in your own personalized Garden of Eden, and that garden is within you. It knows no bounds. Its soil is perfect or as compact and dry and sandy. It's as loamy as you want. It's as moisturized and prepared as you want. It can be anything. All that it requires for its proper maintenance is your daily footprint. To step into your garden, to place on your crown or tiara as king or queen, announce that you have returned to your kingdom and that you are being anointed by the oils of the imagination. Welcomed in with perfect abundance, health, love, prosperity, and abundance and expansion. Had to say abundance twice. Now 3 times. And you put in your daily footprint. This is called meditation. You step into the imagination for a few minutes while you are awake. and you make a concentrated effort to give a daily footprint to your Garden of Eden. You take a visit to your castles, your homes as they were, or the little tiny shack that you wish to have. You set the limits, the bounds, but you're there. My version of a kingdom is probably bigger. Who knows? It could be smaller. But does it matter? Is it a competition when we have access to everything without restriction? And thus comes the understanding to never feel envy for a single thing outside of you, for it is already the result of someone's maximized vision. If ever you are inspired by someone's achievement, wealth, success, love, or otherwise prosperity, all you need do is visit your own garden and kingdom within and say quite profoundly, using your power through the I am, "Dear Lord, that which is being done for this individual whom I see, I now ask that you do for me, and then some." As I step into that truth, in the divine expectancy of the good, I believe to be enriched in greater ways. No interference with their world, no envy, no judgment, just deliver something even greater that's never been brought forth before in this world. Surprise me so, dear Father. Plant this seed with my mother, the womb of creation. And through my faith, which is the belief that this already exists and already is mine, I rest, relax, and receive in this womb of creation, in the divine expectancy of the good. That's faith. Show this faith when the big challenges come, when the Blue Jays are losing their minds, they feel lack, they say you're the cause, or perhaps you think so. The crows come, the collectors come, the bills arrive, the food dwindles. But you're in Barbados, with your head in the sand and cotton in your ears, as the water of abundance flows, fuller, wider, and faster than ever. That ignorance of the external world is your strength, and it fortifies your truth and being. Soon before you know it, it starts to reveal itself in truth before you. For you are in Barbados, and it was your faith that dictated this. And like any other seed, the subconscious mind, the womb of creation, the matrix. In Latin, matrix means womb. It cannot, will not, shall not ever deny you, because it is law. As a man thinketh, so shall he become, so shall she become. For you are truly a king or queen of your kingdom within. This is your truth. Quite a day we're having today. It is written. I am smiling. There's Overoff. Tony Gen X 68B. Thanks for following. Folks, if you're coming in and you're listening right now and you're in your mind of the imagination, please step out of your kingdom for a moment. Tap this button up here and follow me. It helps a lot. It helps the storytellers of this world to feel like they have a purpose. Through the ego, it gets a little rub. Like a genie's lamp. You might get something from it. You might not. It's just an ask. So what I'm going to imagine now is that number 11 going up to 111 in a short period of time. No time at all. Joy Noel, thanks for following. Nicole is smiling from ear to ear. Because of course it is a competition, you know. And that's okay. Competition is the destruction of creativity, but at the same time, we like to have a little spice from time to time. Nana Inez, thank you for following. Brenda Lee, 2424, you as well. Jell asks, do you enjoy plant medicine? I enjoy changes of consciousness. But I have to be careful with this, you know, Jell. I could be walking down a primrose path myself. It could be the ego saying to me, without saying, if we get this guy to talk about something that he's not allowed to talk about on here, well, then we can take away everything that he wants. That's what the ego thinks. See, the ego usually thinks in terms of envy, jealousy, separation, contention, indifference, belittlement, mockery, because it fears death. So as an observer, I've come to understand in time, through this incredibly restrictive platform, that if I speak in a specific way about the things that I'm truly passionate about as an egoic self, about 90% of that content, if I don't rein it in and filter it, shall lead to my demise. And that's unfortunate, but it is also a result of my thoughts, feelings, and convictions, and so I must just accept and surrender to the now. Liz222 sent me blow bubbles. Lots of heart bubbles coming up. So that's a long answer to the question by Jell. How about you tell us first, Jell? Because if it comes from you and nothing happens, well, then it would be discrimination on behalf of this platform to penalize me in some way, wouldn't it? You first. Give me all the details. My ego self wants to know. Lady Dusk says thank you. Thank you, Lady Dusk. You are a reflection of the infinite intelligence at work. And I love you, as I love all of you, equally. I gotta be honest, I love my children the most, but that's just me. I do favor my children over all others. They may not believe it at times, but it's true. And that's okay. Ooh, I see a vision over here. I see something over here. And I gotta tell you, there's so much yellow snow all around these woods. The coyotes were busy. There's Overhoff says, you are intelligently God's servant, if I said that right. So here we go. Jell is speaking in hieroglyphics today. Trying to be courageous, yet at the same time, careful. I understand. I unfortunately cannot speak in memes and emojis. I have to use this archaic language, the old symbols, words. And it's those words that it seems this platform wishes to protect you from, all of you, because you are so fragile, so affected by sound, so victimized by it. You must be offered a safe space at all times in order for you to survive in such a fragile world. So, of course, there are guidelines, because God forbids something be curved and have a little flavor and perhaps some misdirection. There have to be guidelines, you know? And it has to be a community, because you are more a community than a self as far as you're witnessing the aliveness of being. You have to be more of a conglomerate presence of cattle than actual aliveness. And you have to be so affected by words and symbols so as to be defined as victimized by them. This platform knows not what it does. But we already knew that. We, being the collective consciousness of awakened individuals. So, do I enjoy plant medicine? I'll tell you what I really enjoy. I enjoy the negative electrons, the ions, the free electrons being released by these trees. I enjoy the fresh draw of air through my nostrils that's compressed, filtered, warmed, and delivered to my upper respiratory system. I also enjoy that 75% of that air will never actually be absorbed by the body, but instead serves as a carrier oil of beautiful nitrogen. And that nitrogen gets slightly absorbed in my in-breath through the nose in the form of nitric oxide, released to my brain, sending signals for the pharmacy within without any need for plants or other external introductions other than the air itself I breathe to feed me bliss on tap right now. These energetic bodies emitting a biofield at a frequency rate of 7.83 hertz, the Schumann frequency, permeate my body and synchronize the hemispheres of my brain, allowing me to let go and join you on this journey of listening and being, so that the words may flow without error or interruption. Call it a channel, whatever it is the expression of aliveness and truth. Therefore, everyone listening shall find some message of use from it. Whatever story comes from that in resistance or acceptance is your own choice. That's the meal that you choose from the menu of life on this day. But it has nothing to do with me. Thank God. What if I were suddenly responsible for everyone's decisions? What if I were responsible for the digestion of those beautiful negative ions? What if I had to manage the proliferation of cells in your body and their distribution? I would be in a hell of a mess. As an egoic self, I wouldn't know what to do. That's why I say thank God. Thank God that all of those intricate, deeply intelligent processes are being managed by a superior intelligence other than my own egoic self, who would love to take credit for these words, who would love to take credit for all these experiences you're having, who would love to believe that the compliments you're giving are truly because I deserve them. No. It's all us as consciousness. But the ego, at best, is just a vessel. At best. It's a controller. at best. It's a radio station. There's Overhoff says, nothing and everything to do with you. Indeed, I am that I am. Sandra Ortiz, thank you for following. There's Overhoff says, I enjoy health. You are health. Red Ree, thank you for following. You're all beautiful. So, Jel, I imagine I've answered that question at least partially. The medicine I enjoy is the pharmacy of the body. I find that the quality of anandamide that is synthesized through tryptophan that I eat, facilitated by piperine from black seed oil, turmeric, and theobromide from a beautifully fermented seed of cacao, tends to have all that I want and need for a blissed out experience through large amounts of anandamide synthesized because my immune system has no threat, nothing to attend to. It's on vacation in a good way. Then again, if we are under stress, we find ourselves exposed to threats and believe them to be real, well then, perhaps something outside of you will become your salvation. But if we start talking about that, that goes against the agenda of this very platform. See, the platform wants you to believe that you're a victim. It wants you to believe that you're vulnerable and you're constantly under threats, that words do damage, and people can harm you through your two-dimensional devices, those screens. So the moment we start talking about things that actually benefit the body, that would be considered substances in some way, controlled, then we violate the community guidelines of proclaiming our victimization by external circumstances, and immediately are flagged, blocked, and put under control by a communistic regime that has no desire to see you evolve your consciousness into being. It is the most restrictive of platforms, yet at the same time, it allows me to reach a great number of you, to permeate your minds using wordsmithing in a very creative, precise manner. I break through the barriers. I shatter the indoctrination, and that is the game I want to play. I want to debate with your ego, and I want to break it in a huge, powerful backbend. I want it to fold itself over in frustration with me, knowing it can't do a thing if I'm not here, if I'm not truly participating. Can do nothing but dissolve. Oh, yes. That's a chickadee. That's an American goldfinch. That's a tufted titmouse. That's a robin. That's also a robin. That's an American goldfinch. That's a robin. Are you present? That's an American goldfinch. Are you present? Are you listening? to something other than the slush? That's an American goldfinch. That's a walking stick. The ego doesn't like this. So tease it. Tease it a little bit. Tell it, that story doesn't move me, that notification doesn't move me, not as much as I observe the walking stick. I'll piss it off. Good. It's been working at pissing you off. We can at least have an eye for a few minutes when it comes to that which gave us all these empty promises. You know, be like a big brother to it. Give it a little correction. That's a propeller airplane. Can you hear it? That's a robin. Makes 3 loud beeps, sometimes 4. Sometimes 2. I hear pedestrians. They're behind us. They might even be running. But as Sting said so poignantly, manners maketh manners, someone said. And he's the hero of the day. A gentleman will walk, but never run. Jell asks, what's your background? What would you like to know, Jell? Does my background include anything other than education, cultural belief systems, political leanings, health status, thought processes, relationship woes, job successes and losses, physical ailments and recoveries, habits? I mean, there's so many directions I can move in. I would rather you guide me. I don't take coffee, I take tea, my dear. Like my toes here on the side. Take it anywhere I want. I'm an Englishman in New York. Oh, I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Oh, this is nice. Oh. My professions have included senior news editor for a video game magazine, milieu treatment supervisor for children and adults with special needs, senior behaviorist and functional behavioral assessment advisor and writer, chief IT architect and securities manager, worked with incarcerated individuals in Tlalpan, ages 13 to 18, going through reform, teaching music to the blind in Mexico. Father, witness to the death of one child of mine. Yogi, certified Yoga Alliance, 200-hour practitioner of Nam Yoga and Universal Kabbalah. Musician, over 25 years of practice in songwriting, 8 albums released, writer of over 200 novels, 42 were written in 1 year during the pandemic on a typewriter from 1949. Reiki master, harmonium practitioner, vagabond, homeless man, investor, loser of everything, divorced, loser of everything, divorced, abandoned by children, my children, lost, then found, traveler, sure, expat, learner of languages, lover, bike rider, hiker, really good at making pizza, judger of character and judged, dreamer, reader, listener, ornithologist, botanist, horticulturist, affiliate marketer, otherwise Willie Loman, Death of a Salesman, last true marketer of goods, New Thought practitioner, Christian, watcher of a broken down piece of meat known as William Vincent Carlton, TikTok live streamer, an otherwise entertainer, performer, and what some would call a total snake oil salesman charlatan. I would say is a bit better than that. How about you, Jel? That's my obituary. What about yours? Oh, yes, I forgot the most important one. Wish-fulfilled billionaire, perfectly loved and appreciated by his community, a man of service, love and kindness to state, country, and world, a profoundly established patriot and lover of the United States of America, conservative Christian, an advocate for the meek, that's my avatar, and I am a sole proprietor of it because it knows not what it does when given the power to manage itself. So I have had to once again become a manager of him. And I manage him well now. But it took some time to break him. But I broke him. Broke him good. This is a walking stick. User 8774838 782045 says, "In a very handsome man to that, thank you." Isabel Salinas, good to see you, says, "I just worked on my obituary." Giles says, "Working on managing myself as well. Any tips appreciated?" Try not to make any sense of things. Try not to take things too seriously. I may not be the best example of that. Try to just observe your aliveness instead of defining everything around you and finding the answers. Try to see yourself, if you can, as a baby in the womb growing with an umbilical cord that feeds you everything. That umbilical cord is your imagination. The more you access it, the more nutrients you receive. The more you believe yourself to be healthy, wealthy, wish fulfilled, and otherwise protected and preserved, the faster you will grow and eliminate pain and suffering from your life. Never lead yourself down the path of any of the things that I told you I've done, for it will lead to suffering. I being my egoic self, I come in and out of observing my aliveness and performing. I usually perform when I'm asked questions, fall back into body, lose track of the fact that I'm being fed aliveness by an infinite source, and then I go back to it. But I'm in that source more than I am my body as a performer now. That's why I can safely say I've broken my ego. There's Overhoff says, "Yes, you do, manager of a miracle. I'm alive." It's a miracle. So are you. Liz222 says, "Amazing. Thank you. We are all alive." I'm glad you found me too, Jill. Happy to find you. I love you all. Ginger, thank you. Esoteric Artist says, "I just received my copy of Starboard Quest by Mark Yeager." Did I say that right? Haven't read it. Tell us about it. Liz222 sent a hand heart. Thank you, Liz. There's Overhoff says, "You are a healer, period. When it feels right coming from me, I am a healer then." Sure. There's Overhoff asks, "Can you talk about quantum entanglement?" Sure. The way to think of quantum entanglement is all is one. And what that means is that there is an interconnectedness between all perceived things in your waking life as real, as well as the umbilical cord that leads to that through the imagination. So it's also referred to as a unified field. It is the infinite intelligence in a state of rest. Not so much that it exists and is resting, but is nothing until it is a thought in the mind of God. We, being direct extensions of the thought, as human, being made in the image and likeness of God, have direct access to this unified field from which all things are entangled. Think of every gram of DNA in your body as a storage facility that instead of storing hard drive data, it stores holographic, three-dimensional projected data. And it records your entire life, all of your haptic experiences, which I refer to as psychosomatic or sensory experiences, are recorded through it. Everything you see is part of that. Everything you feel. And so quantum entanglement is necessary for the recording and processing of these massive amounts of information that each and every one of us are actually presenting to ourselves through thought at any given moment. And it has to carry this out in a seamless fashion, without any screen tear, at a perfect frame rate, for it to be believable, so we would get lost in it. So, quantum entanglement means anything quantum is subatomic, that which is less than reality, which in fact is more than reality. Anything that you cannot perceive is part of a unified field resting in a state of non-existence. That state is referred to as the unified field in superposition, that which is superior to any position of manifestation. So we have a local reality where infinite source, the unified field, reduces itself from an infinite source into something that can be perceived with a beginning, middle, and end. It is decidedly holographic and is recorded in the blueprint of life, DNA, which layers proteins one upon another as a form of archive, recording information in sequence for later access, for the source to better know itself through us. So quantum entanglement is necessary in order for all of this information to be instantaneously processed by 7.9 billion Game of Life participants having a life experience at the same time through this source, which is a unified field that knows no bounds in its processing or expression. The way that things collapse into being through quantum entanglement requires the entertainment of thought through the mind of God, which is the imagination. I know I'm repeating myself. I'm just coming full circle so that you can understand how manifestation works through it. We know what we want when we know what we don't want. So we have this life experience as performers, just like we would throw on a headset with a haptic suit and dive into a virtual reality experience. You turn your head in one direction, it renders. All of the data to render that already exists. The game has already been made, in other words. So you're accessing a certain amount of data from an infinite source to give you a perception of localized reality. I am no different, nor is anyone else who is performing. So we're all having different experiences at the same time. All of these experiences are being recorded in a holographic medium through DNA. And what's beautiful about that DNA is that its storage capacity is massive. And when I say massive, I mean your entire life within 100 years, recorded in super ultra high definition, high frame rate, all the haptic experiences with your rumble suit, i.e. your senses, also recorded. The whole shebang of your life experience, easily recorded in a holographic medium through your DNA in your body, with plenty of space remaining. Plenty of space. And when you think of something through the imagination, it is an ask for the level to unfold in the specific way that you desire. The source then takes the image that you see, flows it through you. It connects with all of your cells and all of your life experiences and projects outward as a life experience that changes for everyone based on our individual life experiences that we've had. Think something different and it renders differently. But the truth of the matter is it's being rendered right now. This isn't a static world that's been here. It's being rendered by a source of infinite intelligence, processing data, projecting it through holographic medium. So not only is DNA a recording medium that has massive, we're talking hundreds of petabytes of information in a single gram is my understanding of DNA, to hold massive amounts of data. But it also serves as a transport medium. And this is where quantum entanglement plays a big role. Because it serves as a transport medium, it means that subatomic phenomena through the unified field, before it collapses into an orchestrated objective reality, it's called ORC-OR, orchestrated objective reduction of the unified field before it becomes something. In other words, all potential and possibility is instantaneously transported and sent and received through DNA. Proof of this was discovered. I forget the scientist's name. I believe it was sometime around 2013, where subatomic information in the form of electrons, protons, gluons, mesons, bosons, stranges and quarks, beauties, and forget what the last one is. This type of information instantaneously sent without passing through any medium of time and space. Essentially two places at once, with DNA serving as the medium. So DNA can store massive amounts of information, quantum data. It can process it and project it and record it on the fly. And the only way that this would be possible is if there were a superior intelligence in charge of the whole thing. This is the unified consciousness, otherwise known as the universal subconscious mind, or God. You could call it being, you could call it oneness, you could call it the all, you could call it Christ or Christ consciousness. You could also refer to it as Neville Goddard does, which I believe is the most palatable, even more than presence. It is the imagination. It is the power source for all of our life experience. Does this properly answer your question? If there are further questions regarding this, please ask. Garlene Copeland, thank you for following. Angela, you too. Caden Ryan says, I'm so happy my feed brought me back to you. I am too. Austin, it's been a long day. Stuck in Time, Austin. Tell us about it. Faith O'Clock. Thanks for following and for saying I love this. You're most welcome. There's Overhoff. The thoughts of God. That's what we are. We are. We are a thought in the mind of God, having an expression through his manifold layering of life experience. Lingo, thanks for following. Bright Soul, thanks for following. Sandra, thanks for sharing. That makes us caught up. Sandra, thank you for sending the rose. Question coming in. Adriana, thank you for following. Sunflower asks, what is ASMR and how does it affect the body? Great question. Sovereign Slade apologizes, saying, I'm sorry I was late. I really, really needed that nap. What's beautiful, Sovereign, is that you are always on time through God's manifold expression and loved unconditionally. Welcome. I saw some of your music on the guitar. It was great. Well done. Tammy asks, where have you been? Observing my aliveness in various ways as performer and observer. There's Overhoff says, I love the feeling of living in my miracle garden. That is your truth. That is your kingdom of heaven. It is not of this world. It is within you. And you must become like a child to access it. Give it your daily footprint, which you are already doing, which is wonderful. So this question coming in from Sunflower Goddess, let's field it. ASMR, the acronym, stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. It's just a very fancy acronym for tingles. Perhaps you get them sometimes down the back of your neck. When you hear a certain string of sounds presented to you, when you fall into a deep state of relaxation and calm, when the sensory experiences around you start to dim, and the parasympathetic nervous system activates as a result of a string of sounds that have no more meaning more than the delivery of a feeling. And that is ASMR. They are the tingles that you feel when you're comforted and loved. And what follows and is paired with that feeling is a release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Brings a slight state of euphoria, protection, feeling, and calm. A sense of belonging that otherwise wasn't there before, but now is. And it can be triggered by just about anything. However, it requires a union, either knowing or unknowing, between mind and heart. Seems to be a very short distance, but it's a hard one to travel. You have to go from your mind's eye to the magnetism of your heart center. This heart center is your solar plexus. It is a network of light and electricity. And it receives signals from the brain, whether or not to be drawing in the feeling of relief or rejecting it. But it's just magnetism at the end of the day. Draw in the feeling of protection, oneness, and goodness and expansion, and your body will follow suit. For the cells know no difference between where you are in your mind's eye and what you perceive as your external circumstances of life. So it is your choice to decide when and how to change the environment. And when you do, when you become accepting that you are deserving of wish fulfillment and calm, time no longer has a place, it no longer exists, and you come into being, which feeds you an aliveness that unwinds pain remembrances and heals them autonomously, without direction or need of a plan. You will feel that in the form of tingles. Sometimes. Other times it's just a sense of protection, calmness, serenity, bliss, timelessness, nor a need to pay attention to time. No need to define things. These are just sounds, permeating, playing. You become a newborn babe. No definitions, just a clean slate, tabula rasa. And it all makes sense. Because there's no need to make sense of things. There's no greater sense of ease that could grace you than that. Listen to the nothingness. It requires concentration. To listen to the space between my words. See if you can see far into the distance, to where the clouds descend. And then just let it take you away. To some place where your wish fulfilled. Your garden, your kingdom. Your profound resolution. The easy obliteration of pain and suffering through your presence as an observer of aliveness. It is a granting of permission to be free. And then the ego says, that's enough. No more of that. Gotta get moving. Got things to do. Battery's gonna run out. Who knows if the powers come back? I wonder if it's gonna snow tonight. I wonder if I said all these words right. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I didn't read a comment that I needed to hear for myself. And that's just the ego's way of trying to stay alive while slowly dying. Susan Ziff says, great information. Can I find you on YouTube? You can, Susan, and thank you for asking. If you go to my bio, you'll see links, and the first one will be to Sacred Imagination. That will take you to my YouTube page. William Vincent Carlton is my name, as an egoic self, and I am the sole proprietor of his aliveness, as God, as are you, of Susan Ziff. Red One, thank you for following. Tammy Louie, thank you for sharing. Jeez asks, how then? Steps? Clarify for this old man who's young in heart. Shelley Lee, thank you for following. Duganibble says, thank you, complex delivered in an easily digestible form. As is your compliment received. Thank you. What else? Aries Raw 2H58 MO.38 SD30 734.44. Thanks for following. Ginger33 says, everything is perfectly imperfect. Thank you so much, King William. You're welcome, Queen Ginger. Nicole Jackson. Love and light to all. Tammy says you are beautiful. Thank you. You too, Tammy. Okay. Jeez asks, how do I travel from my mind's eye to my heart? Forget that there is distance. Forget that there is a process. Ignore it. Hold your hand before your face. Observe it with your eyes open. Can you do that for me? You don't have to type, just do it. Now close your eyes and imagine your hand being present. This is an exercise of your imagination without seeing it. Now open your eyes. See your hand again. Now close your eyes. Imagine it. Feel its presence and its aliveness. You're also using your imagination again. Now I want you to hold your hand out before you and imagine whatever desire is the answer to your prayers as salvation. For everyone it's different, but think of one thing that would give you pleasure, if it were real and in your possession now. Make your hand as big as it or small as it needs to be in order to receive this thing, but feel it as real with your eyes closed. Imagine it there. It could be the perfect relationship. It could be your bank account filled to the brim with abundance. It could be forgiveness of the past and the relief from any speculation of the future. And it could also be a forgetting of all of these things because it's just too blissful to be on these pristine Caribbean shores, just as I am, right there. In this process, you have gone the distance. You are in the wish fulfillment. The magnetic pull has already begun, and your heart center is attracting it. So there is no physical distance, yet your ego would want you to believe there is, and it would want you to believe that there is a hardship involved, a distance between you and it, and time required in order for it to be accessed, with no guarantee or certainty of it being realized. In doing this and convincing you to believe that is true, you have become a slave to it, and thus it can live off of your imagination, which otherwise has the thing you desire already manifest. You are connected. You have a long, beautiful pathway, or a short one, between your mind and heart. You are traveling it instantaneously right now. Nothing can stop you. Nothing can prevent it. But you, thinking it to be so. Thus you come into your power. This power is referred to as being. The ego is going to hate me for it. It's going to scream at you to stop, to scroll, go away, never come back, don't listen to this charlatan. He wants something from you, like everyone else who's inflicted pain. Whatever the hell the story is, it doesn't matter. The ego's dying. You can comfort it by continuing to return to the perfect relationship, the perfect wish fulfillment, the perfect success, the perfect abundance, the perfect traveling of the distance, the perfect vacation. You can just keep comforting it by escaping it, by letting go, by walking away nice and calm instantaneously to your wish fulfillment. You can just let it die. For it was nothing in the beginning. It's not physical. It's just a story. So if anything, it's just a book that gets closed, where there's not even a book. It's just digital mush dissipating every time you go somewhere that's more powerful and more real through the mind of the imagination in your union with God, which is Christ, which is the anointment of your body, mind, and spirit by welcoming you into your own garden and kingdom of heaven. Every time you step in without any distance or time involved to your wish fulfillment, you have come into your kingdom. You've placed on your crown or tiara, and you have become one with your infinite power. And because the ego feeds off of that, it can never actually be a part of it. You see, nothing can be a part of that which feeds off of you, not in truth. In truth, it just dies without you because you're elsewhere. Every time you go there, the distance has been traveled. I pray that this has given you the answers. Joy Noel says, thank you. This is really helping my visualization. You're most welcome, Joy. Chose none connect. Chosen one connect. See, I could say it either way. Christ had a birthday and God is eternal. Christ is an anointment. It is the imagination and it is infinite. It is not a thing so much as it is everything and nothing. Brenda, everything is energy. We are all one. This is truth. Everything is. G asks, where did you learn all of this? I'll show you. "4 years of walking in these woods as an ascetic vagabond, stumbling upon the answers through the mysteries of what was presented before me, crying, screaming, yelling, laughing, slipping and falling and breaking, healing and renewing. Like many who come into the forest to bathe in the sacred waters of this infinite intelligence, I am not alone in that it transforms any ascetic into a being of God." There is something to be said about the woods, something to be said about being a forest ascetic. I spend hours here because it is my home. And through this, I have allowed myself to shed all of my pain remembrances. And on some days, the reels drop in and I fall into a state of being where I'm totally performing and I'm screaming again and I'm upset and I'm going through the hardships. But at least I know at the end of the day, it was a performance rather than my reality. And this is a slow shedding that occurs differently for each and every human being coming into illumination in this way. However, you will be comforted by these woods, as well as streams, waterfalls, and oceans. Anywhere where there is a release of abundant free electrons coming from the earth through these antennae, or from the bombarding of water together, you might find that there is great lucidity in a nice warm bath filled with magnesium salts, as well as the shower of water pouring on you in warmth. It's not just the sensory experience as much as the bombardment of free electrons from that water that places you in the resting frequency of the earth and connects you with source and healing. My suggestion is bathe in this space as much as you can. There's so much health to be gained from a forest bathing walk. 4 years of it saved my life. It's a great question. Al says, and welcome back, Al, Jesus embraced me yesterday as I meditated. I wept freely. This is beautiful. Jesus literally means salvation. And your crying is a manifestation of your feelings brought forth in the now. You are healing, Al, and that is beautiful. Later Rabbit misses the forest. I'm glad that this is a delightful meditation for you. Om. Jeez makes the comment here in truth. I have already arrived, no distance to travel, I see. That's it. This world before you is one of separation and wants to create distance between you and your wishes. only because it perpetuates the illusion in its existence. But if you were to truthfully come into being and observe the aliveness of now, there's a oneness that comes. And the separation which requires the creation of time dissipates. You see, we can't have label or definition of anything without first constructing time to contain it. Every dictionary, every encyclopedia, every holographic image embedded into DNA is encoded through first us creating time through the imagination, and then it can encode properly. There's a linearity to it. So it does exist for a reason, to give us the ability to define things, time. At the same time, we get the byproduct of an egoic self that is built off of that. And so we have to shed that in order to basically undo our suffering. And we shed it by being present, either by observing without definition, like a newborn babe, just looking at life, not feeling any pressure or urgency or haste, just leaning in and listening and feeling. Or we use the imagination to go to a place in our mind that is wish fulfilled. Either one of these is an ask to God for healing, and it is a form of perfect prayer that leads to the illumination of self and total wish fulfillment through the reduction and eventual elimination of pain. Once we achieve this, we have the life experiences to be grateful for. We have shed that, and we are grateful for it because we now know how to appreciate freedom from pain. That's why we go through it. We would not know what it is like to feel free. I almost said libre, liberated. We wouldn't be able to feel liberation without first having some sort of constriction, some sort of restriction. And that's why the ego is such an important component in illumination, and a necessary one. I pray that this makes sense. So you heard a buck? It's possible. It's very foggy. So what I mean by this is forgive yourself for any pain remembrances, understanding that they were a necessary component for your liberation from them. Come into the now, understanding it is the only truth that can really be felt and experienced. And enjoy the ease of life, knowing that you no longer have to answer to any demands outside of yourself until you feel motivated to move by your own accord. And to trust that. It's called your intuition. Anything that comes to mind that you think of yourself as, think to yourself that that's a great task. I can do that. It's challenging, or maybe I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try. That should propel you forward. Just like you know how to decode the words that are coming from me without having to analyze through an encyclopedia or dictionary everything I'm saying. It seems to be managing itself. Your intuition will function in the same way the more that you surrender to the task. Just like I'm walking, I'm surrendering to a path and a task. I'm also surrendering my body as an antenna of God's words to flow through me in the way that I would love to watch and listen to a channel that gives me healing. I'm addicted to that. I'm addicted to the feeling of healing, so I keep coming back to it. And it seems now that others are coming to it and enjoying it, and what you will get from this is an absorption of it to where it unlocks your own unique form of expressing the same type of healing in your own creative way. And each of us is different in that form of expression, which makes us so beautiful and so unique, at the same time so connected. This is a transference of love, and it's a transmission of love that is intended for you to receive in order to discover whatever pieces might need to come in to fit in your mosaic that is wish fulfillment. And I believe this is happening now for anyone who comes into this space. I feel I've found my purpose in these woods, and my purpose as an orator and as a narrator My play with words and my performance as an ego self in this way is my purpose as an actor in the game of life. I found it through you. So just know how grateful I am that I found this through you. That you're here with me is the greatest gift. Just know that. Caden Ryan says, intuition is the ego's enemy. The ego has tucked its tail and running. It's tucked its tail. We're all coming into being now. Thank you, Later Rabbit. 222, says Ginger. All right, everyone. Let's formulate our wish fulfillment. Be grateful for what has come to us on this day. Let's embrace this beautiful yellow jasper down here that I've never seen before. And let us cross the bridge to our wish fulfillment. Let that yellow jasper remove any sort of gossip or rumor that you may be flawed in any way. Come into being in your truth as a worthy, loved, wish-fulfilled human. Transmission complete. That wraps another day for us, folks. This one has been a beautiful one today. You can expect to find this recording on my YouTube page. The link is in my bio. And to all those who have arrived for the first time, welcome. God bless you. I see all of your wish fulfillment in the simplest of ways that you can decide whether to make more or less complicated. It's totally on you. Just know that I am pulling for you and pushing for you however you need. I love you all. I'm so grateful for you. And I wish for you the happiest and most wish-fulfilled day of your life. I am so grateful to be here with you now. Ziva Star, thanks for following. There's Overhoff says, glimmering morning to everyone. Kenzie, thank you for following. It's a perfect circle indeed. See you very soon. Later, Rabbit. Thank you for all of the insightful questions coming from each and every one of you who stepped forward to write. For those who have just observed, I pray that you've received a proper transmission of love. And for everyone else, anyone who gifted, followed, liked, or just lurked, thank you for your aliveness and presence on this day in coherence with our wish fulfillment. God bless you on this day. Thank you, angels. And I love you all. Thank you, Kenzie. Thank you, Sunflower. I will be ending this transmission in a moment. We will give a little bit of food to the birds together, and then I will conclude the transmission for this day. You can expect the transmission to be live every day until otherwise announced, and it will be sometime anywhere between 11:30 and 1 o'clock Eastern, all depending on the events presented to me, but it is a consistency. Here's a chickadee. Hello, hello, chickadee. Hello, little chickadee. My favorite little friend. Let's give some food to the birds. Namaste, Nicole. Thank you, G's, for your questions and for following. Let's get some food out to the birds, everyone. Stay put for a second. I'll be right back, and we'll conclude our broadcast for this afternoon. Okay, don't go anywhere. Let's see how we do here. Hey, chickadee. Chickadee's on the feeder. Coming over to the bush here. This is a lily of the valley. Very sacred perennial. All right. This is a little red jasper that I carved into a little platform for the birds. Hello, chickadee. Look at our chickadee, very close and friendly today. Hello, my friend. Oh, yes, chickadee. Hello. Come get your goods now. Come on. Come on, buddy. Hello, chickadee. Yes. Hello, tufted titmouse. Disney bird. All right. Hello, tufted titmouse. Disney bird. All right. Hello, tufted titmouse. Disney bird. All right. Hello, tufted titmouse. Disney bird. All right.